She was already holding the glass of wine when they sat down. A family of 5. 2 parents, 3 children. All smiles and sunburns, and the kind of tight-lipped politeness you get when strangers are forced to share a dinner table on vacation. They took their seats at the large communal table, the kind meant to foster conversation, community, togetherness. Except for her, it had been chosen for her. She was alone. A solo trip to Tenerife. The kind where you buy the all-inclusive package so you don't have to explain yourself, don't have to wander strange streets in search of a meal, don't have to hear the waiter ask, "Is someone joining you?" She was here to rest, to be unseen. But then the mother turned to her. We do not wish to expose our children to women drinking alcohol. Not people, not guests, not even just drinking. Women drinking alcohol. And that's when she knew. This wasn't going to be a peaceful meal. She smiled, the kind of smile women are taught to give when they are caught off guard, and said, perhaps they should ask to move tables if it was such an issue. She'd be continuing with her wine. That should have been the end of it. But the quiet tension was immediate. The kind that sits under the surface like a hairline fracture, ready to split the room in 2. She stood to get her food from the buffet, reminding herself to breathe, to focus on the warm lights, the tiled floors, the laughter in the distance. She was on vacation. This wasn't worth it. But when she returned, the wine was gone. In its place, a waiter, apologetic, confused, asking to see her wristband, the one every guest wears to identify their access. "I was told you might be underage," he said gently, almost embarrassed, "that you had snuck away from your parents." She stared at him. They had told the waiter she was a child. She, a grown woman, traveling alone, sipping a single glass of wine, had been mistaken, purposefully, as an unaccompanied minor, by a family of strangers who had decided somehow that her presence, her choices, her independence was an offense, a threat. She showed her band. The waiter's face shifted. Understanding, then shame. He apologized, profusely, and without hesitation, returned with a fresh glass of wine, just as the family returned with their plates of food. And that's when it happened. A quiet decision. Not loud, not angry, just crystal clear. She flagged the waiter, asked for the full bottle of wine, and a couple of shots of vodka, please. No tantrum, no confrontation, just a woman taking back the narrative. The drinks arrived at the same moment the children were biting into their first forkfuls of food. She didn't say a word. She drank the shots, not in haste, not in spectacle, but with the measured calm of someone who had been disrespected, underestimated, and lied about. The mother's face flushed. The father stiffened. Chairs scraped the floor. The entire family stood up and stormed out of the restaurant. She sat quietly, sipped her wine, ate her meal, and for the first time since the trip began, felt something that tasted a little like peace. They never returned to that restaurant, at least not while she was there. The next day, she didn't see them by the pool, or at the bar, or in any of the excursions advertised in the lobby. But honestly, she wasn't looking. She hadn't come to this place to be liked. She hadn't come to be tolerated. She came for herself. And somewhere between the petty comments, the vanishing wine, and the vodka, she'd found a rare, sharp kind of clarity. That sometimes, being polite is not the same as being kind. That people will use children as shields for their own discomfort. That being alone especially as a woman, is still seen as suspicious, and that some folks are far more afraid of seeing a woman drink a glass of wine than they are of lying in front of their own children. So, am I the asshole for ordering more drinks after a family tried to humiliate me? For taking up my space even when they tried to shrink it? For refusing to shrink? For being simply myself? You tell me, because I know what I think. And now, I wonder what you'll say. This story is more than wine and whispers. It's about autonomy, about how women, especially when alone, are still expected to soften themselves, to adjust, to apologize for existing too loudly or too confidently. The moment this woman was seen drinking, and more importantly, doing it alone, she was no longer just a guest. She became a target, a symbol. To some, women can drink, but only when accompanied, only when approved, only when silent. But that's not how real life works. Not anymore. This wasn't just about a glass of wine. It was about being told who you're allowed to be. It was about boundaries, dignity, and what happens when someone tries to weaponize politeness as control. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is order the damn bottle and drink it. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever been shamed for doing something perfectly normal just because of who you are? Have you ever had to decide between staying quiet and standing up in the smallest, boldest way? Let us know in the comments. And if you've ever been the one who stood their ground with grace and a little bit of fire, welcome to the vault. We see you.